welcome back everyone to another Loki episode breakdown. We're going to be talking about Loki episode 3, so obviously spoiler alert before we get started, and let's just get started. So obviously the title of the episode is called Lamentis. If you don't know, Lamentis is a reference to a Marvel comic, but it's also a reference to this planet that Loki and Lady Loki land on. But in this episode, she kind of changes her name to Sylvie, so that's what I'm going to be referring to as. So the episode opens on this conversation between, I believe this was C20 and Sylvie, apparently. And they're acting like, and this illusion looks like they're created as friends, but it doesn't really make any sense, so I'm just going to play it.
Potato skins or buffalo fingers, or we could eat somewhere else. Why do you hate this place? I don't hate it, I fear it. Do you know how many times the health department has closed this place down? Well, the drink seemed fine. Oh God. Brain freeze. You know what brain freeze is, don't you? Here we go. It's when you sit something so cold. Brain freeze associated with coldness. Wait, I'm being serious. So it permeates the roof of your mouth and freezes the synapses in your brain. So your memories are literally frozen in place. That's absolutely not true. It is. Okay, try it. Whatever you're thinking about will get frozen in place. I'm going to ask you a question, and you won't be able to tell me the answer until your synapses have melted. Challenge accepted. Okay, ask. How many people are guarding the timekeepers? Sorry, what? Hey, how long have we been best friends? Too long. Seriously though, you know you can tell me anything, right? Of course. So why won't you tell me how many people are guarding the timekeepers? Oh, well, there's... This place, I remember, I know this place. But I don't know you. It's okay. You're just tired.
Okay, so I don't know if you know what's happening, but what's actually happening is Sylvie is actually tapping her memories because what ends up happening is she's bringing her back to a place that she remembers. Now, if you remember, in episode 1, they explained that all of the TVA's workers were just created by the TVA, just like how the first human was created by God. But yeah, so anyway, so that's how that's how it's explained to Loki in episode 1 by Miss Minutes. But we get a reveal later in the episode that I'm not going to talk about, but right now. But yeah, but she says that she also remembers this place, kind of like it's a memory that she had. And here's the thing, though: if she works in the TVA, then she would have had no experiences of the outside world. But yeah, so anyway, obviously she's controlling her mind, and that's what I'm trying to say. And she wants to figure out how many people are guarding the timekeepers, because just like Loki, she wants to get to the timekeepers. So yeah. So she escapes through this portal. If you remember in episode 2, she goes out the portal and then Loki follows her, just as Mobius says, damn it, and then he misses. But yeah, obviously. So what ends up happening is she runs out and she basically encounters these guards and she kicks the crap out of them. Now, one thing I will say is that a lot of people have been saying how Loki and Sylvie are a lot similar, but in reality, though, they're actually not. Their fighting styles are way different. Sylvie is more of a one-on-one martial artist. She's not that good at when it comes to magic, and we get more information on that later because it says that she didn't really have someone to teach her magic. While Loki, on the other hand, uses more magic than he is at hand-to-hand combat, but he loses like most of his fights anyway, so that's the thing that's different. So Loki comes to the portal as well. He pulls out his daggers. Also, Loki uses daggers while she uses like a giant sword. But yeah, and then while they're fighting as well, Sylvie realizes that her enchantment magic does not work on the guards, so she has to actually fight the guards herself. Anyway, then she comes to face with Loki, and then what ends up happening is Loki ends up to pin her somehow. Then what ends up happening is while they're in the middle of fighting, Ravana runs dang, I forgot her name. Ravana comes in and with two of the TVA guards, and this was a shot in the trailer. I thought here she was supposed to be dueling Loki, but she's actually facing both of them. But then she ends up holding Loki in a position. He's like, "Come any closer, I'll kill him." Well, here's the thing: she never really cared about Loki, and she was against this whole idea anyway. So she's like Yeah, go ahead. So as soon as she runs to try to smack him with the baton that what's called that is used by the Minutemen, Loki pressed a portal, and he didn't really get a chance to look at where he looked, so he actually drops them into the year 2077. He drops them in the year 2077, and they go on the planet Lamentis. So yeah, and when Sylvie figures out that what's called they're on Lamentis, it's pretty bad for both of them already. So yeah, okay, it's pretty bad for both of them because if you don't know, Lamentis is supposed to be one of like the worst apocalypses ever. So it's like very very worse. Basically, what's happening here is literally this planet is literally about to get destroyed, and yeah, that's like all I can say pretty much. So yeah, and what ends up happening is she tries to enchant Loki, but it doesn't really work. So then after they eventually leave the barn that what's called they were in, and then they go to this woman's house. She kicks down the door. Sylvie kicks down the door, but then she ends up getting blasted. She ends up getting blasted, and that's why you see all like this thing coming out. So then Loki tries because he sees a picture of her husband. What he tries to do is he tries to take the form of him, but obviously Loki is not really the best imposter because he doesn't know anything about the relationship. So obviously he gets blasted out as well. And basically all that the only thing that was called the woman can tell him is that there is a train that you can go if you want to leave the planet, which is basically all their goal. So they have to work together in order to do this. And basically Loki has to disguise himself as a guard, and she has to just like I don't know act like yeah. And basically they're able to get inside. And what ends up happening then is they actually talk about a little bit of their past. So Sylvie says that now here is the thing. For the most part, their lives were mostly the same until one point in Sylvie's timeline. Her mother, her adopted mother Frigga died as a child, so she didn't know any of her magic. Now, if you don't know where Loki knows all of his magic from, he gets all of his magic from he gets legit every single piece of magic from his mother Frigga. So yeah, obviously. So he learns that from Frigga, which means that obviously that means that since Sylvie had to teach everything on her own, which is why she's more similar, which is why she doesn't use magic as much, which she had to teach herself how to use magic. But the thing is that also she's a lot better at martial arts than Loki is, because Loki focuses more on magic, which is good on its own. You could always get at fooling people, but sometimes if you just have like a if you're sometimes it's not always going to work. Like if for example it didn't really work on the Hulk, and yeah. So anyway, one thing that is obviously similar in the scene is Loki is kind of drinking a lot. I feel like as Guardians they like to drink a lot because Thor did it especially, and yeah. So ends up happening is later on Sylvie wakes up after taking a nap, and she ends up seeing that like Loki's partying and dancing. Now here's the issue: Loki's outfit right here. His outfit is actually not right though. First of all, his outfit shows his TVA thing. So on the back of it, you would be able to see the word variant across, which means if somebody knows about the TVA, like for example, if somebody figures out that he's there, then obviously he's gonna get caught. But Loki is so drunk that like he even smashes he even smashes the cup just like Thor does in the first Thor movie and says another. So that's just funny. But yeah. By the way, you could also see the word variant across, so obviously someone's gonna see it, someone's gonna report it, obviously. So then what ends up happening is um uh Sylvie tries to tell Loki that he's drunk, but he doesn't say that he's drunk. All he says is that he's full, which doesn't make sense, but still. So anyway, then after this guard comes in because obviously somebody reported them, obviously. And then what ends up happening is a bunch of other guards come in, and what ends up happening is a giant fight breaks out. It's just obvious. And what ends up happening is Sylvie joins in on this fight as well. She usually doesn't really do any martial arts, but like she mostly uses like her legs and stuff. She has really good roundhouse kicks and stuff like that. But yeah, and yeah, but unfortunately the fight is a bust because they lost. And here's the thing: Sylvie figures out, and basically she gets really mad again. So what they end up doing is they go to this city. there's a city where an ark is supposed to leave. Now, what's funny is that this episode, or at least the idea of this planet of Lamentus One, or this type of apocalypse, reminds me of the story of Noah. If you don't know, Noah is the character, not a character, but he's a person in three of the holy books in the world: the Quran, the Bible, and the Torah. And if you don't know, he is his name changes throughout. In the Quran, they call him Nuh, but in the Bible and in the Torah, they probably call him Noah. So yeah, and so if you don't know, the story of Noah is that it's a little bit different in some of the other books, but it's mostly the same though. So Noah was sent to these group of people, and these people were worshiping idols, and these idols are not good because he was there to promote monotheism and basically bring it back to the worship of one God. So what ends up happening is they don't listen to him. So eventually, after preaching for 950 years, God warns him of a giant flood that's coming, and what ends up happening is he builds an ark, and once that ark is built, he takes all of the animals on it because the animals did nothing, and he also takes all the people who listen to him. So yeah, obviously, in the in the Quran, everybody dies, including one of his wives and one of his sons as well. But in the Bible, they're saved. So yeah, there's a difference there. But yeah, but this is similar to what's going to happen here because the only difference is that the ark was never actually destroyed during this apocalypse. But the issue here is that the ark actually does get destroyed. So yeah, so a giant moon comes and they basically have to run around and they have to save it. But as soon as they get to the ark, it gets destroyed by a meteor. So now they realize that now they're officially screwed, and it's all at that now. So that was the end of Loki episode 3, and it was a really amazing episode. And honestly, it had lots of parallels. This episode was very intense. It had to do with had a lot to do. It had a lot of character building, especially with Sylvie and Loki. So yeah, it has a lot to do with them. And yeah, for the most part, this episode was really amazing and it was really good. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and please subscribe to the channel. And also comment down below, tell me what you thought and tell me what other videos you would also like to see next. So anyway, here's the video on this and here's the video on that. And subscribe please.